This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening. Thank you for bearing with us. My name is Mary Maslowski. I'm the chairperson of the Historic District and Historical Commission for the town of Harwich. We are starting our meeting for Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. It is a little bit later than the 6 o'clock start time. It's about 6:26. Thank you all for bearing with us in our technical difficulties. This meeting is being held by remote participation only. No in-person attendance is permitted. The town is holding this meeting remotely in accordance with the governor's March 2020 order on the open meeting law requirements. So we're going to get started tonight with a roll call for quorum roll call. If we could start, Julie Eldridge.
Here.
Brendan Lowney.
Here.
Dean Steiner.
Here.
And Robert Doan.
Here.
So we do have a couple of other callers on the line that we don't have names associated with you. One of them is probably me, and I suspect I'm caller number 4. Or perhaps I am not. But if people that are just on the phone could speak one at a time, caller number 2, 3, or 4, if somebody could.
David Hagstrom.
So David Hagstrom, I see you on here already. Is there somebody else?
Jim Martucci.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Jim Martucci.
J. Martucci. Okay.
And Rebecca Allen.
Rebecca is caller 2. And is there anyone else? Okay, we'll get started. The first item on our agenda is a public hearing for HH 2021-05. It's a notice of intent that has been received for 24 Central Ave, map 6B, parcel L91 in the R-H-2 zoning district. The application proposes a partial demolition and renovations of various exterior features. The application is pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 2, Manesia Lawrence as owner, Attorney Bill Kroll as applicant. I would ask if everyone who is not speaking could put yourself on mute while the applicant, while each of us speaks. We will have less feedback that way. There is a little bit of feedback right now. So Attorney Kroll, would you like to get started?
Sure, thank you. I'm Attorney William Kroll from Harwichport, and I'm representing Manager Lawrence, who is on your screen, the owner of the property, and Mr. Martucci, who's caller number 3, is her partner with regard to this petition. We filed a notice of intent for a partial demolition and renovation. You have copies of that. We have already been to the Board of Appeals in January and obtained a special permit from the Board of Appeals for this project. And I believe that this came up, that the Historic Commission, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Chairman, but I believe that the Historic Commission gave notice subsequent to the Board of Appeals hearing. So we have our special permit from the Board of Appeals for the petition as set forth in our notice of intent. In reviewing just the elements of the notice of intent, to the best of my knowledge, we're not listed in the National Registry of Historic Places or the Massachusetts Register of Historic Places. We are listed in the Town of Harwich Historical Index. This property was originally part of the campground association back in 1910 is what the assessors map says. So we're just over the 100 years. We are not, to the best of our knowledge, directly associated with any historically noteworthy persons or events concerning this property, other than Ms. Lawrence is now the owner, but with all due respect, she's probably not that famous or noteworthy yet. We also would contend that we're not associated with any political, cultural, economic, or social history of the town, other than generally it's part of the campground area, as are many structures in that area. So that being said, I also indicated in the notice of intent that the structure will basically keep the same footprint, and the renovated exterior is designed to be substantially in compliance with the quote campground streetscape, end of quote. Before Ms. Lawrence acquired the property in the last year or two, prior to that, there's been various renovations and so forth, as there are often in the campgrounds. With all due respect to the property, it's probably, we call it scabbing sometimes, that various owners have done, made various renovations. So there's been new wood supports in the ceiling, there's a screened-in porch, windows, new windows, gas fireplace with a chimney going through the second floor. So we tried to include all the pictures to give you a flavor that it's may have started out as a cottage, but it's not a little cottage anymore, that as it began in 1910, because of all the various renovations over the years. So the pictures and plans are designed to show you that the petitioner is trying to fit in with the streetscape, but yet renovate the property, and wants to be a good neighbor, and not change it drastically and demolish and replace and just wait out the 1 year demolition delay and put in something that's totally not in keeping with the neighborhood. So she's tried to be sensitive to that. One of the neighbors, Mr. Toomey, who is at 22 Central Ave, has written a letter. I don't know if you folks have it. It's very short. With your permission, I'll read it, Madam Chairman.
Of course.
Okay. So it says, as the next door neighbors to 24 Central Ave, we are writing in support of the proposed project. We find the scale and aesthetics to be appropriate for the neighborhood and appreciate our neighbors' efforts in improving the property for the next 100 years. John and Susan Toomey at 22 Central Ave. That's their letter of support. I did represent the Toomeys on their project the last few years ago, concerning the Board of Appeals, and got a special permit for them as well. So all that being said, we don't think that there is historical significance here, and that she's trying to fit in with the streetscape, and ask that the board make a determination of non-significance. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Kroll. On the members of the board, who'd like to start? Jane, do you want to start tonight?
Sure. I'm looking at the drawings, and I'm having a little trouble because I'm looking at them on an iPad while I've got my laptop in front of me for the screen, and they're a little bit light, so I want to make sure I'm understanding them properly. If I'm looking at it correctly, it looks like this part that faces the street, the front door, I don't know just what number drawing that is. It says new front elevation, option 2, no balcony. If I look at that, it strikes me that the roof line has changed considerably, and also that the porch has sort of gone away. It's now going to be just windows in whatever rooms are behind the walls there, but not a front porch per se. Am I correct in that? Or again, I can hardly read the print on here.
It's number A13. A13 is the number of the plan in your packet. And you're correct, Ms. Steiner, that it's the new front elevation. It shows a front door with an oval window.
Yes.
The roof is designed, it doesn't go straight to a peak. It's designed to have somewhat of a modified gambrel appearance to it to fit in with the others in the neighborhood. And I did include a picture of a similar property, which was, I hand wrote similar house in the neighborhood to show that it looks somewhat like that house.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not as defined a gambrel roof, but at this point, because she's already been to the Board of Appeals, that roof line is written in stone. There was no appeal to the Board of Appeals decision, and that's what's been approved. Something that she can change or wants to change as far as the roof is concerned. If she could possibly change the door or the windows somewhat, something like that, the exterior appearance.
And so what about the porch? Is the porch totally going away then? I don't.
The screened-in porch, right? That's been absorbed into the front of the building there.
Okay.
Yeah, the porch, if I may add to that.
Go ahead,
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm Manager Lawrence. I'm the owner of the house. I appreciate the time today. Thank you. Yeah, the porch is, as of now, it is going to be gone as far as the plan is to be in the house. But the porch was actually not original to the house. It's been added to the house. And those actually windows, what they look like windows, they're actually not even windows. They're on open or closed, and they're not glass either. They're kind of like a plastic material that I put up in the winter months, and I take them down in the summer months. So that's kind of what they are. They don't open or close or slide or anything like that. So I try to keep the look a little bit the same in adding a lot of windows in front of the house with the new plan to kind of make it similar looking, but it's not going to be technically a screen porch.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
If I can say something about the property is, on the original property, the roof line is actually, we're using the same roof line on the property. The only thing is we're taking the property and spinning it around 90 degrees to make the sides have that effect, the gable roof, the front and the back. If you look at those existing house.
Mr. Martucci is speaking. Her partner.
Yeah, so if you look at one of the pictures that has the side of the house as it is now, we're trying to make it kind of look, the front of the house to kind of look like that kind of barn. And there are other houses in the neighborhood that are like that. So we try to kind of be similar to that, and that's why we kind of designed it that way.
I see.
And if I can just add a little bit more, I bought the property about 4 years ago. My vision was really, I've always dreamt of having a little beach house, and I wanted to be the grandmother that has the beach house for the kids to come to. So that's my intention. I'm just trying to kind of renovate it, make it more usable. And right now you can really only use it in the summer. There's no heating, obviously, other than the gas fireplace. The windows are not really original to the house. There's water leakage from, I don't know if it's the windows or the walls. There's a lot of things that are not up to code. When I did the inspection, they had told me that already. The staircase for one. There has been the house had been lifted at one point and a full basement has been added. So there's actually a full basement, which really means that most of the house was actually demolished years ago to add the full basement and the fireplace and the chimney through the house. So I'm really trying to, my vision is to really try to bring it up to code, make it more usable, and just really fit in. I really respect the history. I love the charm of the area and the neighborhood, and I love Harwich Port, so I really just want to keep kind of that same neighborhood cottagey feel. I'm not trying to build something that's like huge and big or modern or anything. That's not even my style. So that's kind of has been my my vision.
Thank you.
Bob Joan, would you like to go next?
Sure. Yeah, so why couldn't you keep, instead of rotating the roof 90 degrees, why couldn't you keep it like it was?
I think when we tried to design it, I mean, it's the only house that has that shape, so we tried to kind of be actually more like the other houses in the neighborhood. And it just gave us more space upstairs to change the roof line. You know, I think that was kind of the original, you know, I didn't know that this house was what was on this historic list when I tried to do the designing. So, and maybe Jim can add because he's been kind of helping me with the architect to kind of come up with the plan. But that was kind of the vision for it.
Yeah, the roof line, like I said, we're just rotating it 90%, 90 degrees. It gives us more flex space upstairs as far as because it's deeper than wider. So we need more space upstairs because right now there's 3 little rooms with no ceiling on them. So that's why we went with that same design, basically just rotating the house. And we're matching other properties in the house. I mean, properties, we're matching the house similar to theirs.
There are other properties that's exactly like your house in the campgrounds, and I actually thought there was one on that street a couple doors down. I don't know. I can't remember that well. But it also looks, or I should ask, what is the height? The drawing indicated, what, 26.5 or something feet? I couldn't read what the new height was.
Yes, 26 and a half. And I think that legally, I think I could have gone up to 30, I believe, and some of the other neighbors have done that. But again, I really didn't want to make this humongous house that doesn't fit in. I was trying to keep that cottage look, so I didn't go as high.
And what's the existing height?
It's definitely lower a little bit, but I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
I think, if I had to guess, I want to say 23 feet.
Yeah. And so are you removing the exterior? I mean, are you actually removing the whole second floor, including the exterior walls?
Yes.
So
we have to, in order.
Yeah,
we
I
have
understand. Okay. So basically what's left is basically the first floor walls. In fact, aren't you tearing off the back, one of the old additions in back and putting a new one on to extend it?
Yeah.
So you're really leaving only 3 walls. Am I understanding that correctly? And only one level.
Yes, correct. And
yeah.
First of all, we had to remove some of the walls, number one, to bring it up to code. We'll never pass inspections.
Yeah, but it's actually, you can renovate it and still be fine with the existing, the way it is now. They don't bring every house up to code just doing renovations. I mean, this to me is basically a 90% demolition of the house. I do think the style and everything is so appropriate for the campgrounds. The height, you were getting it out of scale of the other houses. It's too bad you're rotating it, because I prefer that different look, because that's the beauty of the campground, is not everything's cookie cutter. They're all kind of the same scale, smallish, cottagey look, and sure, people have added on in the back and the side, and that's the evolution of architecture, and that's fine. But to me, this is basically a full tear down.
Well, it's I mean, percentage-wise, I can't give you percentage-wise, but, you know, we're not, the foundations is staying the same, the footprint's staying the same. Yes, we are adding 25 square feet on the, I think, or 40 square feet on the first floor. But yes, but we're going to do, as far as the second floor, yes, that's a tear down, the second floor.
Yeah, and the second floor, actually, inside the house, the bedrooms are not, like, they don't actually have full walls that go all the way up.
Right.
They're like half walls on the second floor.
Yeah, that's very typical of most of the houses down there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it has its look, the cottage look.
But our picture, like I said, by spinning the house 90 degrees, it's still going to have the cottage look, but just update it into code.
I think it's too tall for a cottage, but
Well, we're 4 feet lower than the property right next to us.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Mary. Other people to chime in?
You all step on. Brendan, you want to go next?
Yes, just a quick question for Mr. Kroll. The Board of Appeals, was that for height or for the lot coverage?
Oops, you're on mute.
No, you're on mute.
Most people prefer it when I am on mute, so, and it costs a lot. In any event, we did not ask for a variance from the height requirement from the Board of Appeals. We're under 30 feet is the height limit, so we're under that. So it was a special permit, Board of Appeals, not a variance, and it was because like every house in the campground, we're too close to the lot lines to meet the current setbacks of 25 feet from the street and all that. So it was basically a partial demolition and renovation is the way we characterized it.
Okay. I guess I can continue. I think I kind of agree with Mr. Doan about proportion. We had a similar project or a similar house on Seabreeze where it was just out of scale, proportion, height. It was a complete change of what was existing and what was there. And I understand why you're turning the house, because the gambrel roof would be elongated and it wouldn't aesthetically work. So I understand that. I think it's just too much all at once. It just reminds me of that project. Not that we have a lot of precedent when we do things. Every property is its own individual, decision when we come up with our thoughts. But yeah, I tend to lean towards what Mr. Doan is saying there about everything being out of proportion scale-wise as well. So I'd have to put a little more thought into it. But I'd like to listen to everyone else and if the public is going to speak as well. So.
Eldridge.
To me, look at this, it seemed to me it was almost like a complete tear down for demolition. So I guess I would piggyback pretty much on Bob Owen and Brendan Lowney about this. I can see why it is being turned into the more room in the building and in the house, but it doesn't seem to look like the original home that's there. With the plan we have here, it does look significantly different. And that would be about it, I think.
Thanks, Julie. So I have to concur with my colleagues tonight. To me, I appreciate the fact that you tried to make it look like similar houses in the neighborhood, but what you did was make the front of the house similar to sides of other houses, and it does really completely change the look of the streetscape down in the campground. And that's, you know, when you say you try to make it look like others in the neighborhood, I guess I look at it differently. I think it's nice to have the unique homes, and that's one of the reasons that, because it does look the way it does, you know, to me it's a little disappointing that you know, the front looks so dramatically different than what it did. You know, I understand the want to get more space, but it just doesn't, to me, it doesn't look like others. I think if you look at some of our more recent decisions, we've really tried to work with people to, you know, when the scale has to be bigger, we understand that, and we've tried to work with the kind of to mirror some of the look, even if it's on a slightly larger scale. And unfortunately, it just doesn't feel like that's been done here, and doesn't seem like it's something that we're going to be able to do tonight with the way the whole plan is set up. So, are there any other comments from members of the board right now?
Mary, if I could just add one thing. The other thing that I think is, this is Jean Steiner for anyone who doesn't know. I think that as I drove up and down that street, one of the things that struck me was that almost every house had kind of a porch facing the street. And to me, that says cottage, it says summer house. And I know that the porch that's on the front now is not original, and it's not you know, well done. But there is something to be said about the whole concept and the whole look and feel of a porch, whether it's an open one or an enclosed one. And, you know, maybe if you do any tweaking to this design, that might be something else that you could consider.
Thanks, Jean. Is there anyone else on the board that wants to comment before we open it to the public? All right, hearing none. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this application? I would ask that you introduce yourself and state your name and address for the public record, please.
Madam Chairman, my name is Philip Taylor. We are direct abutters. We are 23 Ocean Avenue. So we are on the west side of this property. And as far as their renovation of the property and whatever the board allows for them to do is certainly fine by us. We have a problem with the footprint. The architect, I believe, mentioned that we're not changing the footprint, but the plans that I'm looking at aren't indicating that. And I know a few members have said that they've been through the neighborhood and that they've looked at the house and looked at the property, and perhaps you've noticed just how close that house is to the back of our house. And we're not talking anywhere near 25 feet. We know that, and we all live with that. We're all in the campground. But if that addition goes in, pretty much every window out of the back of our house is looking directly at a wall. It's you know, a few feet away from the back of our house, and we were looking to see if there's any conversation that can be had about that addition, that change in the footprint that they're proposing. I don't know that there's ever been any precedent in the campground for a change in the footprint. I think everybody that has done any of this kind of work has to work with the same footprint that was there, whether it's a tear down and a rebuild, or whether it's you know, renovation work. So that south and west corner of the property that they're proposing to increase the size of the house, to square it off. Pretty much the width of their house now runs right along the length of our house, and so every window that we look out, their house is just a few feet away. I could pass them a cup of coffee in the morning if they so desired to do that. So looking to see if that is a consideration.
Madam Chairman, if I may, Attorney Crowell?
Attorney Crowell, go ahead.
Yes. With all due respect, that the issue of the footprint was already determined at the Board of Appeals level in January. This is not the forum for changing the footprint. That decision was granted at the Board of Appeals based upon the plans that were submitted. They found unanimously in favor of granting the special permit. There was no appeal filed by anybody. So as I said earlier, that that footprint is and the roof line and the size of it's already written in stone as far as the Board of Appeals is concerned, and any abutters are concerned that the footprint is not negotiable.
My name's Paula Taylor. I'm the other owner of 23 Ocean Avenue. The problem with that whole appeal process, or that the meeting that was held, was there was quite a bit of confusion with the council, the town council, because there was no numbers on the house on Central Avenue, and it was also talking about a garage. So by the time that we were aware that there was an approval of this and the appeals process, there was no time for us to file an appeal. So we just wanted to bring that up to let you all on the historical committee know that unfortunately it was a misrepresentation when they put out the notice, because they even joked about it when I went back to look at it on the YouTube recording of the meeting, about if she has any, if the owner has any money left over for her to put numbers back on the house, because a lot of the town council people didn't realize what house it was. So we just wanted to bring that up and make sure that you're all aware of that.
So this is I just want to be clear. This is before us on a notice of intent to demolish. So our vote is either to allow the demolition, come to some other agreement, or we vote not to allow the demolition and impose a demolition delay of up to 12 months. That's what our purview is in this situation. If you have concerns about the proceedings at another board or commission, you'll need to seek redress elsewhere besides here. Unfortunately, that's not something that we can address at our meeting.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to put that out there, that's all.
Is there anybody else from the public that wishes to speak?
Anything?
No, not really. No.
Hearing none. Any members of the board have any additional comments, questions? What's the pleasure of the board tonight?
May I?
Of course, Bob.
So if we close public comment, do we still discuss, or can I make some comments of what direction I'd like to see?
You can certainly make comments. If we close the public hearing, then we can't take any additional testimony, and we need to make a decision.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I'll go ahead and say what my feeling is I do think we should impose a one-year demolition delay. However, as usual, we would be open if the plans, the owner's willing to change the plans to come back and see if we approve it, then we can eliminate the one-year demolition delay. But that's the direction I'm heading in.
And then, Mary, if I could jump in as well, I was thinking the
Sure,
same.
Brennan.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing Bob was thinking. I almost feel bad for Mrs. Lawrence. I think you just missed a step, not realizing that it was in a historic home. And I think if you knew that, you would have came in front, and you would probably be in the same position that Mr. Doan just said, coming back with maybe new drawings. I think we just missed a step. We're out of sync, and we're almost in the same position if you were here the first time with us. So I don't think much would have changed, and hopefully, we can come to some resolution. So.
Dean?
I would agree with that. I think that, coming back with some modified drawings would be a big help.
Julie Eldridge?
I would say the same thing. If they want to come back and maybe the next meeting or something with some updated drawings, that would be helpful.
So Attorney Kroll, what is your pleasure? I think hearing the way the board, I don't know whether you would prefer that we impose the 12-month delay or how you'd like to work it.
Right. See, the catch-22 for my client is that if she modified the plans at all, she's got to go back to the Board of Appeals because they would have to amend their special permit decision. And that's not something she chooses to do. So the sooner you start the 1-year demolition delay, the sooner it gets over with, as far as the owner is concerned. So there'll be no plans to come back and modify.
Are there any other people that would like to comment on the public hearing? Because I think if there are none, then the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
The motion's been made by Mr. Doan. Is there a second?
I'll second. Oh, Jane did.
Gene Steiner has seconded. There's a motion on the floor to close the public hearing. We'll do a roll call vote. Julie Eldridge?
Yes.
Brendan Lowney?
Yes.
Gene Steiner?
Yes.
Bob Doan?
Yes.
And the chair votes in the affirmative as well. So the chair would entertain a motion on the notice of intent.
I move to impose a 1-year demolition delay on 24 Central Avenue in Harwichport.
And Bob, did you want to make a finding that you believe the building is a building of significance in the campground?
Yeah, yes, the building is of architectural significance for the campground.
So a motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Gene Steiner's seconded. So Bob, I just want to clarify that you're moving that the board make a finding that the building is of architectural significance in the campground and that the board impose a 12-month demolition delay.
Correct, at 24 Central Avenue.
Okay, so the motion's been made by Mr. Doan, seconded by Ms. Steiner. We'll do a roll call vote. Julie Eldridge?
Yes.
Brendan Lowney?
Yes.
Gene Steiner?
Yes.
And Robert Doan?
Yes.
Chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you very much, Attorney Kroll. If your client changes her mind, we can certainly entertain a revision.
Understood. Thank you all for your time tonight.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is HH 2021-06. The notice of intent has been received for 119 Chase Street, map 11, parcel U2-A in the C-H-1 zoning district. The application proposes a partial demolition and replacement of 2 windows. The application is pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 2, Peter Edwards as owner and applicant. So, Mr. Edwards, I see you're on the line. Would you like to go through your application with us?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. Peter Edwards, owner of 119 Chase Street. I am here. I'm doing 2 bathroom renovations and swapping out 2 windows in the same location with no structural changes.
Are you, let's see. Do you want to start on this one?
Did you ask me? I'm sorry.
Either Bob, Joan, or Brendan, whoever would like to start.
I'll
Would you
start.
like to start, Bob?
Yeah, I have no issue with this. Looks like from the drawing, replacing it with the same style window, and I think that's fine.
Brendan?
Yeah, same here. It seems like there's 6/6 simulated divided light. I think it's fine.
Julie?
Same here. It looks exactly the same, 6/6, double hung windows.
And Jean?
Yes, I agree also.
All right. Is there anybody else with questions or comments on the public hearing for Chase Street? Hearing none, then the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
I'm sorry, can I just ask one question before you guys? You don't mind?
Sure. Who's on the line?
This is Peter Edwards, the owner of Chase Street.
Oh, Mr. Edwards. Sure.
I do have a question because, I certainly intend to preserve the look of this property. I absolutely love the way it looks. And I will be looking into potentially replacing all of the windows later this year. So I'll be filing another letter of intent. And my question is just that I can do that with this line of window. Obviously, they would be to the same size of each individual window at the house. But I just wanted to make sure that when I start to go down that road that I could use this actual type of window.
So as long as you are replacing like-for-like windows, so the same 6/6 pane, same size, and you aren't doing other demolition, then you fine to move forward with just a building permit. You're not in the historic district. You're just in an older home, correct? Just a home that's over 100 years of age.
Correct. Yeah.
So as long as you are replacing like for like, that's fine.
Okay. Great.
And I would say if where the board is given approval on these windows, I think the same line of window would be acceptable. Does my colleagues concur?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, great.
I actually do have a question.
So-
I'm looking at the specs.
Sure.
Peter, is it grills between the glass or it's applied grills? You know
It's
the difference?
applied grills.
Yeah, then you'll be fine with that Pella window as long as it's applied grills, what they call simulated divided light. Every manufacturer has different labeling for the windows, but yeah, if you're not doing between the glass and they're applied grills 6/6, you would be fine with that line from Pella.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So did we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Yes.
So Bob Doe has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second,
Brendan
Brendan.
Lowney, second. So Bob's made the motion. Brendan is seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Julie Eldridge,
Yes.
Dean Steiner,
Yes.
Brendan Lowney,
Yes.
and Bob Jones.
Yes.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Now we'll entertain an action on the notice of intent.
I make a
So
motion
the
to.
chair would.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Julie.
Oh, I make a motion to approve the application. Hold on, I have the number in front of me. I misplaced it. Do we have an application number?
I think it's 2021-06.
Is it 20? I make a motion to approve the application as presented to the board.
So
Second.
there's a motion to approve the application as submitted, and the second from Bob Doan.
Sure.
So all those, the roll call vote, Julie Eldridge,
Yes.
Jean Steiner,
Yes.
Bob Doan,
Yes.
and Brendan Lowney.
Yes.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. So thank you very much for coming tonight, and thanks for your patience.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So the next item on our agenda is HH 2021-07. It's a certificate of appropriateness that's been received for 745 Main Street. It's map 41, parcel S1-2 in the C-V zone in the Harwich Center Historic District. The application proposes the demolition and replacement of a shed. The application is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40C, Section 6, and the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 1. Rebecca and Christopher Allen as owners and applicants.
Hi, yes.
Rebecca Allen.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much for your time and looking at my application. There was a shed on the property when we bought the property about 5 years ago. It's definitely not historic. As you can see from the images, it's not even finished. It's a plywood shed.
Yeah.
And what we're requesting to replace it with is a fully finished shed with siding that's appropriate for the neighborhood and the historic quality of the property, so that it will make the property look nicer. The shed is directly behind the auxiliary building, the cottage that's on the property. So from the main street, you actually don't really see the shed. My direct abutter neighbor, they do see it, and it would be the same setback, so it'd be positioned in the same setback when it's replaced.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure what else you want me to share about.
So I think that's good for now. We'll go on to the members of the board if anybody has any comments or questions.
It looks a lot nicer.
Julie Eldridge.
It looks fine to me from what is currently there, and you don't really see it from the road. She said I didn't get a chance to buy this one, so I don't know how much you can see.
So Bob Doan.
Yeah, it looks great to replace it.
And Jean?
I think I have no problem with replacing it. I think it's a great idea. I like the new one.
And Brendan?
I agree.
All right, and I'm going to start with my members of my board. So are there any members of the public that are wishing to speak on this matter? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Also move.
I'll second.
So Mrs. Steiner has moved to close the public hearing. Julie Eldridge has seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Julie Eldridge?
Yes.
Steiner?
Yes.
Stone? Bob Jones?
Oh, yes.
And Brendan Lowney?
Yes.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. So the chair would entertain a motion to grant the certificate of appropriateness in accordance with the application as submitted. Do we have that motion?
Yes. Excuse me. I would make a motion. We vote to approve the application as presented.
So we have a
Second.
motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Thank you, Bob. We'll do a roll call vote. Julie Eldridge,
Yes.
Dean Steiner,
Yes.
Brendan Lowney,
Yes.
Bob Doan,
Yes.
and the chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Right. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing for HH 2008. It's a certificate of non-eligibility, which has been received for 707 Main Street, map 41, parcel D10, in the C-V zone and the Harwich Center Historic District. The application proposes repainting one side of the building exterior. The application is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40C, and the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 1, David Hagstrom as owner and applicant. Mr. Hagstrom, are you on the line?
Yes. Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I recently purchased the property in February, and I'm not really familiar with the Historical Society or the procedures to go through. Basically, the building on the outside has been partially restored prior to my buying it on the left side, and the right side was just omitted. So it's just kind of an eyesore. And my intent was to just repaint it and repair anything that needed to be repaired, but not to change anything structurally or otherwise.
All right. So, members of the board, Bob Doan, would you like to start?
So I assume, is the paint color the exact same as the other two sides that's been painted?
Yeah. If you're looking at the building, the left side was already restored. I just want to make it match.
Yeah, you just want to make sure that the paint's the same of the other restorations. Yeah, that's the critical part. And yeah, congratulations on buying that building. It's a gem.
I'll tell you, I fell in love with it a year ago in terms of just the architecture and the structure. It's just amazing. I would love to bring it back, to its former life.
Yeah, a lot of history there, and I can explain a lot of history going way back. So.
Yeah.
Good. I'm done.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bob Doan. Anyone else? Brendan Lowney?
No, I'm good.
Jean?
I'm really happy that that's going to be repainted. I think it'll be a boon to the main street of the town. So thank you for doing that.
Thanks. I didn't think anybody would mind.
Julie Eldridge?
Same here. I think it'll be a huge improvement. So thank you.
I'm going to concur with my colleagues. It will be a pleasure to see that get restored and repainted and as you said, in the same color. Right? It'll be a beautiful building when you're finished with it, I'm sure. Is there anyone on the line? Is there anyone on the line that wishes to comment? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
Motion's been made by Mr. Doan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Julie Eldridge is seconded. So we'll do a roll call vote. Julie Eldridge?
Yes.
Brendan Lowney?
Yes.
Dean Steiner?
Yes.
Yes.
and Robert Doan.
Yes.
So just as a reminder, we don't have these very often. This is a determination of non-applicability due to the fact that it's painting the same paint color. So the chair made a motion on granting or making the determination of non-applicability as presented in the application.
I move that. Oh, so we don't have to vote on it, or?
So we do. We would need a motion to grant or to make the determination of non-applicability in accordance with the application.
Yeah, I move to do the non-applicability based on the application.
And is there a second?
I'll second it, Brendan.
And Brendan Lowney seconded. So we'll do a roll call vote. Julie Eldridge.
Yes.
Jean Steiner.
Yes.
Brendan Lowney.
Yes.
And Bob.
Yes.
And Mary Maslowski votes in the affirmative as well. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing it with his paint.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks. The next item on our agenda is we put on the agenda 328 Bank Street, which is the Royal at Harwich Village. Bob Doan was smart and pointed out that they have not come before us as of yet, and they had put up a fence. I did reach out to the town, Bob, and I understand that the building inspector had gone out to talk to them about it. Give me a second. Let me find my email back from Melissa. So Greg Winston had sent an email to the building commissioner as well, commenting about the fence not being legal and that no building permit had been issued. The last message was that Ray was going out to talk to the owner, and about the fence. I haven't been by there at all in the last week. I don't know if the fence is still up.
Yes.
Or what's been done. The fence is still up.
Yeah, and I don't see anything done.
They added some red plastic to the metal fence now, so the steel fence. It really looks awful.
I'm sorry.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Just a quick question that people have seen it. Is it a permanent fence? Or
No,
a construction fence?
It's a construction fence.
Oh, okay.
But
So
it's
the Royal
haphazardly done. I think it doesn't stand up straight. It's kind of bent over in places, and just it looks very temporary and not sturdy.
So what is the pleasure of the board? Does the board want to send a note out to counsel for the applicants before the planning board and let them know that the expectation is they'll come before us, or?
Yeah, I think we need to send a notice saying that we do expect them to come before us with a landscape and a parking plan, because I do believe on historic district rules, we do have jurisdiction over anything that can be seen from the street.
Sounds like a plan to me. We can, if it's the board's pleasure, we can vote to do that, and we'll ask Melissa to draw up a quick letter for us, and we can send it over.
Yeah, and in addition, it could be if they're going to change paint colors or trim or anything like that.
I think either way, it's a certificate of appropriateness, right, for the exterior.
Definitely.
So, is there a motion to send a letter to the owner and counsel for the Royal regarding the need for a certificate of appropriateness.
I move that we do that, send a letter.
Perfect. So motion's been made. Who would like to second?
I'll second.
I will.
Steiner, beat
Yeah.
you to the Brendan. So Bob Doan has made the motion. Jean is seconded. We'll do a roll call. Julie Eldridge,
Yes.
Brendan Lowney,
Yes.
Jean Steiner,
Yes.
and Bob Doan.
Yes.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. It looks like we have a new caller on the line. Could you please identify yourself? Hello? We have a caller 7 on the line. Someone just joined our meeting.
Nope.
Oops,
Great call.
they left.
I guess not. So we will ask Melissa to please draft a quick letter to Attorney Zender and the applicant, reminding them of the need for certificate of appropriateness for the Royal. The next item on our agenda is meeting minutes. We have minutes in the packet for October 21st, November 18th, and March 17th. Does anyone have any changes to any of those minutes? Have you had a chance to review them?
I haven't.
I have, and I think they're fine.
Mm.
Okay, then the chair would entertain a motion to accept the minutes for October 21st, November 18th, 2020, and March 17th, 2021, and place them on file.
So moved.
Been made by Mr. Doan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Julie Eldridge is seconded. Do a roll call vote. Julie Eldridge,
Yes.
Brendan Lowney,
Yes.
Jean Steiner,
Yes.
and Bob Doan.
Yes.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. The next item on our agenda is the proposed property record study. So, as you folks know, we did put in an application to CC last year, and we haven't done anything about that yet. However, there is a new town planner who I think was just appointed last night. So, what is I think what we had talked about doing was updating it, right, Bob?
Yeah, that's correct. And I'll update an outline of what I envision that'll be due, but it is updating the existing inventory. It's studying, selecting villages around the town based on maps that Miranda had completed with her suggestions, and to dig deeper into those things and adding other ancillary devices, other information to the mass record there. For instance, the monuments, research has been done on them, and they should all be registered into the state.
Okay. And I think, too, in that last application that was rescinded, wasn't it also that the MACRIS forms were going to be done for those property addresses, too?
That's why
Okay.
I meant the mattress. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Perfect.
everything would be entered.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I'll do an outline for the next meeting.
That'd be great, Bob. Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? I think once Bob does that proposal, Bob, I think that's a perfect time for us to then send it off to administration and see what we can get for help in order to kind of do the procurement side of that so that it can get started.
Yep.
Before our CPC colleagues come after us.
That's right.
And come after our money.
Yeah, I'm terrified of them.
Exactly, right? So, any questions about that at all?
Oh. No.
Any reports from commission members? Anything else that is ongoing?
Well, the CPC, you know, that's just moving along. All the articles are being written. I think they're completed, all the warrant articles, I believe, Mary, aren't they?
I think they are, and I think we'll find that out tomorrow night on our CPC call.
Yeah.
And town meeting is what, May 8th?
Mm-hmm.
I believe. So, fortunately not May 22nd, because that's mine over here. So, quite a large historic spend this year with the 1.15 proposed for Brooks Academy Museum. So it'll be, I'm happy to see that go to town meeting.
Yeah. Unfortunately, what's not going to town meeting is our bylaws.
I know.
Right.
True. They decided to
Oh,
pull
it'll come
back.
up again in September.
So I'm hopeful that there'll be a fall town meeting, and I think one thing that we perhaps should consider doing is after this town meeting is scheduling some time with getting on the selectmen's agenda to give the proposal directly to the selectmen.
Correct.
And perhaps also, doing an informational meeting for people to understand what that bylaw is and to drum up some support. You know, when
Correct.
you see the support that the DCPC got in West Harwich, I think that support's out there. I think it's just a matter of making it known. So, if we get through town meeting, then, we've got a couple of months that we can kind of maybe do that, kind of reach out, and they'll be in a position to hopefully put it on a fall town meeting, because I do think time is of the essence with it. Unfortunately, we weren't the only thing that got bumped from the meeting. I think the only zoning change really that got on there was the DCPC guidelines. So
Yeah.
those are important.
Yeah, and we do have to explain the demolition by neglect, because that is kind of a new concept, and I think I've heard, people say, well, wait a minute, you can't tell me I can leave my yard a mess, or, I don't have to paint my house, and I think there's just a general misunderstanding of what the purpose of that is.
Right, and I think,
Exactly.
Bob, one of the big things in there is that it doesn't apply to owner-occupied properties, right?
That's right. No, it doesn't.
And
So it's
so
only
that
abandoned.
should
Yeah.
make it a little more appealing, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
It's Bishop's Terrace situation, right? It's the Bishop's Terrace situation. It's that
Exactly.
Bishop's Terrace went from being a vibrant restaurant not that long ago to utter disrepair, which is just so disheartening to see it go that route.
Absolutely.
So that's the one I tend to use when people question me on what it means.
Yep.
I think that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. So,
Right.
As disappointing as it is that it's not on this town meeting, I do think it does give us the opportunity to build up some of the groundswell support that, West Harwich got. I mean, this is townwide, so, and there are certainly plenty of people out there that care. I give Mrs. Nickerson credit. She's usually on every one of our demolition delay hearings. So, there are people out there that want to see this happen, and hopefully we'll be able to drum up some additional support during that time.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Mary, could I use this time to share with the group my news?
You absolutely can.
Okay, so I just wanted to let you all know that as of June, I will have served 9 years on the Historic Districting and Historical Commission. And after COVID or during COVID, my husband and I realized we have kids all over the place. I mean, like from Germany to Hawaii, between kids and grandkids. And we need to travel some more to see them. So I'm going to step off the committee commission.
No.
I've enjoyed working with all of you, but it's time to use our time to go spend some time with our family. So we're going to do that.
Good for you.
Well, thank you for everything you've done, especially in the last year with the bylaws and working with Bob.
I know.
Oh, that was fun.
I know. Thank you, Dean.
I actually had fun doing that. But you guys are a great group, and it's so important to this town. And you see what, just in some of the cases we had today, some people are so much more in tune. I'm so delighted to see that Ruggies is going to have a coat of paint on that sidewalk. It's been such an eyesore for so long. So there's a lot of work to still be done around here, and it's going to be ongoing for generations. But that's true in all of this, all of the country. So I'll be with you in May, and I don't know if I come to the June meeting or not, Mary. You have to tell me that. I don't know what the thing is. I think my time is up in June, but I don't know if that means before or after the meeting. So
your time is up on June 30th. But if we don't have somebody in place before then, you could always choose to still sit for a little while if you wanted to. But no, technically it's June 30th. I will be sad to see you go. I very much have enjoyed working with you and appreciate all of the work that you did, in particular the hard work that you and Brendan and Bob did on this bylaw. It's a Herculean task to do that, and you did a great job on it. It's ready for approval anytime. So that's the good news. The bad news is we're delayed a couple of months. But I will miss your presence on the board, but I thank you very much for serving. It has been a pleasure, and I'm glad you're not going anywhere quite yet. So you're stuck with us for at least another 2 months.
Okay.
So that being said, that's my disappointment for the evening. But is there anything that people would like to see on the next agenda? If you think of something or you see an issue, and I just want to point out, when you see something like the fence, each one of you, feel free to call the building department directly if that's an issue. If I don't really go through Harwich Center during the day anymore like I used to, so I'm less apt to see it during daylight and think about calling the town hall. So still feel free to reach out to me and let me know. But also, if you see something like that, feel free to call the building department and let them know if you think there's a problem. You can, whether you call the building inspector directly or feel free to call Melissa and go from there. She can always, she's our staff, so she can always be the liaison to check on those items for us. So don't hesitate in that regard.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you all this evening. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I do. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Julie Elders made the motion. Joan is seconded. Do a roll call vote. Julie Elders.
Yes.
Dean Steiner.
Yes.
Brendan Lowney.
Yes.
Bob Jones.
Yes.
And the chair says good night. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. We will see you at the next meeting. Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Mary. Bye.
Bye now.
Oops.